So to start off, here is the Evap canister image on all data for 2007 Buick Lucerne. You can see the lines that are connected. So on the far right, you have the vent, and on the left lower, you have the fuel tank vapor line, and on the top left, you have the Evap line, which presumably goes to the purge. And here is an image of it actually on the vehicle rather than in the diagram. On this vehicle, it's located under the car, right in front of the rear portion, in front of the fuel tank. All of the lines are quick disconnects. And so here we have the top of the actual canister. I pulled it off the vehicle. So the connector that I'm plugged up into with the meter is the Evap purge solenoid connector, or not the purge solenoid, sorry, the vent solenoid connector. And it is at 20.4 ohms, which I didn't have a spec on this, but so it could be bad, could be good. You'd have to test it on the actual vehicle to find out, which I did not get to on this vehicle this week. And here is just a simple video of me showing the operation of the solenoid by powering it on with a jump pack. All it does is when you power it on and off, it simply just opens and closes just like any other solenoid. And here is what the inside of the area that the vent solenoid sits in. There's actually a filter in there, as well as the I guess you would call it baffling in the actual canister itself. And next, I wanted to talk about the leak detection pumps in Evap systems. So the way these work is they use a vacuum solenoid on top, and with that vacuum solenoid, it is supplied with manifold vacuum, and the actual solenoid is powered on and off. It's duty cycled by the PCM to create a pumping motion. It's very hard to replicate with your hands because it's happening so fast in the car that you can't replicate it. But the way it works is the more amount of time, or the more times it has to pump to achieve a specific pressure, that is how the system knows whether or not there's a leak and of what size. I don't know the exact specs, but that is how at least this vacuum solenoid powered pump works. As with there's an electronic diaphragm which doesn't use a vacuum solenoid. I presume that is a very similar way, just with electric instead of a vacuum solenoid. So here is me just showing that the vacuum solenoid does hold vacuum, and right now actually, it's going to be a video of me at least trying to show what happens when you fill that solenoid with vacuum, put it in water. It's probably going to be very, very hard to see, but when I've turned the solenoid on and activated it, the pump would pump a small amount. It would create a small amount of bubbles. Um, in theory, I should have shown a video of me pumping the plunger, because there's a rod in there and a plunger with this diaphragm spring, and with the vacuum pressure, it gets pulled up. If I'm thinking about it the right way, it gets pulled up and down as vacuum pressure is applied and not applied. I will say too that some systems don't use a dedicated leak detection pump. The pumps that I looked at were all Chrysler, and even in the homework, which is where I got the diagram of a leak detection pump from, it stated specifically that it was a Chrysler system. Um, from what I could tell, some manufacturers might mix it with a purge. As a way to just detect leaks sort of naturally, or